the talent code Daniel Coyle optimized summary. Get ready for an immersive listening experience with this optimized book summary. Today, you'll learn why some people become geniuses while others spend their whole lives trying without ever breaking through. You'll discover what lies behind excellence in any field: music, sports, art, business, and how anyone, including you, can develop high-level skills. You'll walk away from this summary with a reprogrammed mindset for effective practice, a fresh view on mistakes, effort, and the real learning process. If you're into high performance, personal growth, and mastering the art of learning fast, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel now. Here you'll find optimized summaries that will transform the way you understand knowledge. There's a comforting illusion we've been taught since childhood that talent is a mysterious gift, a divine present reserved for the lucky few. That some people are just born to do it and others aren't. But this narrative is a dangerous trap. And Daniel Coyle's book, The Talent Code, tears that belief apart. He shows that talent isn't magic. It isn't genetic. It's not a gift. It's a construction. Biological, repetitive, uncomfortable, and highly trainable. Starts inside your brain, more precisely with a substance called myelin. Think of myelin as a neural insulator that wraps around your brain's circuits like the plastic coating around an electric wire. When you practice something with focus and effort, this myelin accumulates, forming a thicker layer around the circuits related to that skill. The thicker the coating, the faster, more precise, and more automatic your performance becomes. That's the neurological foundation of talent. What separates a beginner from a master is not luck nor intelligence, it's the amount of myelin, built through proper practice. But not all practice builds myelin. There's a very specific type of practice that actually activates the brain in this way: deep practice. It's uncomfortable, demands total focus, and happens when you push yourself to the edge of your ability. That's the moment mistakes occur, and that's exactly where the magic begins. Making a mistake activates the circuit, fixing it strengthens it. Repeating that cycle builds excellence. Contrary to what most believe, repeating what you already know isn't real training. Real training is challenging the brain, forcing it into constructive failure, adjusting every detail with precision. It's in that discomfort that your brain begins to insulate those circuits with layer upon layer of myelin. That's how talent is created. Picture someone learning the piano. If that person spends an hour playing the same easy songs they've already mastered, they're not developing much. But if they spend 30 minutes practicing a difficult passage, making mistakes, stopping, adjusting, testing different touches, that process activates and reinforces a specific circuit. It's like sculpting talent inside their own mind. Now, talent doesn't come with you. It comes from well-directed frustration. The talent code reinforces this through real-world examples. Coyle visited talent hotbeds around the world, tennis academies in Russia, music schools in New York, soccer fields in Brazil, and found the same formula everywhere: deep practice, intense motivation, and effective guidance. No magic, it's just method. One of the strongest examples is Brazilian futsal. Coyle shows that Brazil didn't dominate world soccer because of genetics. It's because for decades Brazilian kids grew up playing futsal, a fast-paced, high-intensity game in tight spaces that demands refined control, quick thinking, and sharp execution. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every repetition at full speed reshapes the brain. The result? Players the world sees as naturally gifted, but who were, in fact, forged through pressure and repetition. Another powerful story is that of a boy named Andrew Jones. He was a poor baseball hitter, uncoordinated, barely able to connect with the ball. But after training through deep practice with intense coaching, he became one of the most promising players in the league. What changed? His brain structure, molded by specific training. His myelin was built repetition after repetition. He became talented because he built his talent with sweat, failure, and focus. Talent is emotional biology applied, with relentless consistency. And the most incredible part? Every single one of us has this ability. Doesn't matter your age, your background, or your so-called natural aptitude. If you train the right way, you can build skill in any area. So the real question is, Are you willing to face the pain of real learning? You ready to leave your comfort zone and embrace productive discomfort? Optimize Insights Part 1. Talent is not based on genetics. It's built through myelin. And myelin grows with intense, deliberate practice. Mistakes are essential. They activate the circuits necessary for talent to develop. Real training isn't about repeating what you already know. It's about challenging what you haven't mastered yet. Natural gift is a socially accepted excuse to avoid real effort. Centers of excellence all follow one formula: uncomfortable practice, plus strict guidance, plus emotional motivation. If this content struck a chord with you, if any part of it sparked something inside, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel right now. We offer optimized summaries with transformational insights across many fields: talent, focus, mindset, productivity, finances, and more. Upgrade your knowledge, reshape your thinking, and keep moving forward with us. Here, each summary is a key to unlocking your next level. If there is a fertile ground where talent is truly born, it isn't made of gifts, luck, or genetics. It's built from three elements working in harmony: deep practice, emotional ignition, and masterful coaching. These pillars don't just sustain the growth of talent, they define the very way you experience learning. If one is missing, the system collapses. Practice without ignition becomes hollow repetition. Motivation without practice turns into empty enthusiasm. Without guidance, even your most sincere effort can go in the wrong direction. It's the union of these three forces that creates the real talent code. Deep practice is no longer a vague recommendation. It's a science applied directly to neural growth. Coyle explains that the best athletes, musicians, and elite professionals in the world train in a very different way from the majority. They don't train until they get it right. They train until they get it wrong. Then they correct. Then repeat. Then adjust. That's the invisible formula behind excellence. Practice demands complete presence. Every gesture is intentional. Every mistake is a chance to refine. There's no distraction, no rush, only full immersion. While most people train like they're checking boxes, the talented train like they're carving a diamond blindfolded. It's a painful, frustrating, sometimes even humiliating process. But that's exactly where myelin grows strong. That's where talent takes shape. The second power in the code is ignition. A simple word, but one with deep emotional weight. Ignition is the moment something inside you lights up. Could be an image, an injustice, an old dream, a sharp phrase. It might come from admiration or pain. But when it strikes, your entire system changes. Your brain enters a state of emotional urgency. You no longer train out of obligation, you train because something greater is pulling you. Ignition is the fuel for deep practice. Without it, effort loses meaning. With it, effort becomes obsession. Coyle visited talent hubs around the world and noticed that they all create, either intentionally or by design, moments of ignition. Coaches tell powerful stories. Parents show inspiring documentaries. Communities reinforce effort-driven success. All of this plants the emotional seed of, I can do that too. When you see someone who looks like you achieving something big, something inside you screams, why not me? That scream is the start of the fire. When nurtured, it transforms an average person into someone capable of enduring extreme discomfort. For the sake of growth, then comes the third pillar, the master coach. Possibly the most underestimated figure in the process of talent development. Many think a good coach is someone motivational, charismatic, and encouraging. But true masters are demanding, detail-obsessed, and attuned to what others miss. They don't shout, they whisper at the right moment. They don't correct everything. They correct what truly matters. They're like invisible sculptors, shaping not only behavior, but also mindset. A master coach doesn't give ready-made answers. They provoke better questions. They don't offer shortcuts. They show you the hardest path because they know that's where growth lives. They see mistakes not as failure, but as raw material. During his research, Coyle found patterns shared by these masters. They create an emotionally safe, yet technically demanding environment. They know exactly when to challenge, when to interrupt, and when to praise. They understand that talent doesn't need applause. It needs precision, and they know that every repetition counts. That's why their students improve so much. It's not magic, it's method. Within this context, some of the book's most powerful insights emerge. First is that talent is an active process, not a passive one. You don't wait for talent to bloom, you build it with sweat and frustration. The second is that motivation isn't a constant, it can be activated. If you know where to strike the spark, the engine starts. The third is that without external guidance, you can easily get lost in your own effort. No matter how personal the journey is, the outside perspective is indispensable. Talent is deep practice fueled by emotional ignition and guided by an attentive coach. And that applies to any field. Whether you want to be a musician, writer, leader, entrepreneur, or athlete, the code is the same. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up lies in how they deal with mistakes, pain, and guidance. Because a mistake, when approached with intention, becomes practical intelligence. Pain, when accepted with purpose, becomes resilience. And guidance, when received with humility, becomes acceleration. These three pillars don't just build talent, they build character. Because throughout the process, you become someone who endures more, focuses more, and understands more. Someone who doesn't avoid discomfort, but seeks it. Someone who doesn't romanticize talent, but values training. Someone who doesn't rely on motivation, but runs on purpose. That's the real power of the talent code. When you embrace this process, you change. Stop being a victim of comparison and become the protagonist of your own growth. You stop looking for shortcuts and start valuing the real path. And when you look back at what you've built, you realize that talent was always the sum of thousands of tiny adjustments. Small mistakes, small corrections, small repetitions, stacked with intention, and maybe the greatest insight of all is this: talent is the result of daily, almost invisible decisions made under pressure. Decisions to try again, to listen to feedback, to repeat with more attention, to withstand the boredom of repetition and extract meaning from error. Talent isn't an event, it's a series of micro-courages. If you understand that, everything changes. Because now, every practice becomes a building block. Every difficulty becomes an opportunity. Every failure becomes a stone laid on the path to mastery. As you begin to grasp the architecture of talent as a neurological, emotional, and practical construction, you start to realize that excellence isn't a mystery, it's a responsibility. Talent only completes itself when put into practice under pressure. In real environments where failure has consequences and success has value, the final layer of myelin doesn't consolidate in perfect training sessions. It forms in the moments when everything is at stake. That's where the brain integrates, adjusts, and locks in learning. Deep practice prepares you. Ignition drives you. Coaching guides you. But it's the battlefield that shapes you. Talent doesn't grow in a straight line, develops in silent, almost invisible curves. For days, weeks, or even months, you may feel like you're not improving until suddenly something changes. A leap, a breakthrough, an advance that seems spontaneous, but was actually built backstage. Mistake by mistake, correction by correction. Talent matures in silence. It rewards those who persist in the absence of applause. That's why quitting early is so tragic. The most transformational progress is the one that hasn't shown itself yet. Coyle warns us of a common trap: confusing movement with progress. Training more doesn't mean you're improving. Without depth, effort becomes noise. Without correction, repetition becomes habit. And without ignition, practice becomes torture. Training without challenge is like shouting into the void and waiting for an echo. The brain doesn't grow from comfort, it grows from friction. That's why true builders of talent don't chase volume, they chase intention. And here's a brutal distinction. Some people train to get the task over with, others train to shape themselves through it. The first group counts minutes. The second group counts mistakes. Those who pursue mastery don't measure time, They measure depth. Because they know that talent doesn't come from what you do for a long time, but from what you do with deep focus. It's the repeated, intense, painful presence that shapes both brain and identity. As this process intensifies, an internal transformation begins. Practice stops being an obligation and becomes part of who you are. Repetition turns sacred. Mistakes become allies. Criticism becomes a mirror. True talent is not just technical. It's existential. Changes the way you see yourself in the world. You're no longer someone trying to learn, you're someone committed to sculpting yourself. Among the final and most profound lessons in the book, a few stand out. Talent is not about how fast you learn, it's about how deeply you adjust. Those who adjust better end up learning more, even if it takes them longer. So the pain of training isn't a sign of failure, it's proof of construction. If it hurts, it's working. And maybe the most powerful of all, there is no talent without solitude. The most transformative growth happens when no one is watching, when you face the mirror, the boredom, and the doubt alone. This truth is uncomfortable but liberating. It shows that you don't need anyone's permission to grow. You don't need to be born ready. You don't have to wait for a magical sign. You just need to enter the cycle. Try, fail, adjust, repeat every day. That's how geniuses are made. Not through DNA, not through luck, but through the decision to persist. At the end of the book, Daniel Coyle invites us to rethink everything we believe about gift, talent, and success. He shows us that the world is full of poorly told stories, ones that highlight only the glow of the stage and hide the grind of preparation. And that distortion has a cost. It creates envy disguised as admiration, lust for status, and emotional laziness disguised as humility. But when we understand the real code of talent, everything shifts. We start admiring less the result and more the process. Less the genius, more the learner. Less the trophy, more the training. And maybe after all, the greatest talent of all is the ability to keep going, to keep training, to keep making mistakes, to keep adjusting, even when there's no audience. Even when there's no visible progress, even when everything tells you to stop, because it's in that silent persistence that true talent takes shape. Optimized Insights final section: talent matures in silence and rewards those who persist without applause. Those who measure depth, not time, build real talent. The most powerful progress often hasn't shown itself yet. There is no talent without solitude. Growth requires internal confrontation. Training without challenge is stagnation. The brain only grows with friction. If this summary impacted you, know that here on our channel, we offer optimized breakdowns with practical, transformative lessons across many dimensions of your growth. Watch the next videos, dive even deeper, and upgrade your knowledge. Subscribe and join us on this journey of real, continuous, and conscious growth. Because knowledge only matters when it's put into practice. And talent is only born when practice is tacked in seriously.